Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae, also known as Wildbow. You can read Worm in its original format by visiting parahumans.wordpress.com or donate to Wildbow's Patreon at patreon.com/wildbow. This story isn't intended for young or sensitive readers. Readers who are on the lookout for trigger warnings are advised to give Worm a pass. For a complete list, check the description for all of Worm's trigger warnings.
Good morning, Brockton Bay. Stay strapped or get clapped. It's Arc 26 Sting.
Nice.
And we're back.
I hate to say that. I feel like that one's been used before.
It did feel familiar, but
It
this
felt
was a
so
gun-heavy
familiar.
gun-heavy episode.
Deep
So
lore fans will know,
They'll
Yeah.
know.
and they'll tell
That's
us.
true.
They will.
you know.
They'll get
And
in
hey,
that Discord.
even if it has been used before, there's nothing wrong with getting strapped so you can get clapped. I mean, not get clapped.
Yeah.
Correct.
Listen,
Of
Both smash.
Get
Double
both.
smash.
Both.
smash.
Which
Both
is a
is
callback to our Patreon episode, which you
Oh.
too could get if you were one of our patrons on the Brockton Bay Book Club on patreon.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Join in for exclusive episodes, including perhaps a Brockton Bay Smasher Pass.
I was gonna say we get really deep into the lore. Who's hottest?
Really, true fans know whether they would or wouldn't.
Exactly.
Kinky, 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 kinky.
All right, Michael, the kinky button's broken.
Oh no.
It's stuck. We can't turn it off. He's looping.
Smash or pass, end of the world.
Right.
Smash.
Yeah.
Double smash.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. We made it to arc 26. A monster of an arc. My God. Everything happened.
Holy shit.
This has been put off for a couple. Some behind the scenes. We've put this off for a couple of weeks now due to various natural disasters and levels of tiredness, and potentially the fact that I read the first half of this, thinking that I was close to the end, and then realized no, I in fact still had 2 chapters and 3 very large interludes to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
it
a meaty one.
sneaks up on you.
It really
you
do.
feel like you're doing a. I always can tell because it's the audio. I listen to the audiobook and it's like, oh, okay, so these chapters, okay, like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Like, oh, this one's an hour, this one's 40 minutes. This was like every episode is like an hour and 10 minutes, an hour and 15 minutes,
Jeez.
58 minutes, an hour and 12 minutes. Like, oh my God, it took forever to get through this arc. Holy shit.
I believe this is the second longest arc in the entire series.
That would
After arc
make sense.
16, I believe.
Really?
I believe it.
It feels like it was definitely the
Yeah.
longest.
Topping out at like somewhere around 90,000 words, maybe.
Oh my God. A whole book.
90,000. Yeah, that's one whole book.
A whole
Yeah.
novel.
That's wild.
Well, let's.
think-
Wow, Bo, you crazy.
He really did, dude.
Really
Sure.
are crazy.
Cray.
The good kind of crazy. We love it.
Should we
Mhm.
get into it?
We definitely could. We could
I
do
mean,
it.
if you guys want to. Don't let me force you into it.
I mean, we could always just shoot the shit for 2 hours instead.
We could give the people what
Put this
they
off
want.
one more week.
Nah, let's get it. All right, we get it.
All right.
I'm gonna have to reread it if we do that. So I need to have at least 2 memories of the arc.
Yeah.
Which,
Right.
for my first thing, I'll say is, I wish I'd been doing this longer, but for arc 26 in particular, and going forward, I'm going to try to remember to do this. I took a copacetic count and a
Oh.
fuck me count because I think those are Probably
nice.
Wild Bow's 2 most used words/phrases.
Yes.
I love
yes.
it.
And unfortunately in this arc, we only had 1 copacetic and 1 fuck me. So
Oh,
What?
Really, only one?
only 1 that I remember finding.
Shocking.
I only remember one off the top of my head, and that's because I just read it 5 minutes before this podcast.
Oh my god.
Yeah, as far as I could tell, there were only 1 of each. So disappointing for all the copacetic fans out there, but
Yeah.
we'll get them next time.
there will be more.
It's true.
Where was the fuck me? Because I know where I like mine was in the
I
last
didn't write
interlude.
where. I was just keeping a
Oh.
tally count because I
Okay.
assumed there'd be more. But yeah,
Nick, don't you know Alan keeps a copious amounts of notes every time he reads? He
Yes,
needs
a
to know these
copacetic
things.
amount of notes, like Hannah said.
No, literally, those are my. I don't take notes. Those are my only 2 notes for the entire arc.
Fuck me, Tattletale
Those are your
said in the
so all
first,
your notes.
very, very first chapter.
Yeah, there's one in
Wow.
There we go.
Wow.
There
And
we
I can
go.
tell you later on when we're seeing things through Scion's eyes, there is a character trying to get his attention who just says, fuck me. And we immediately get that it's Taylor.
Okay, so maybe there's 2. Maybe there's 2 then.
Not very good note taking.
I was
I'm
gonna
gonna
say, maybe
note
there's-
that down.
jeez.
I mean,
It goes in my notes of the amount of times Nick did not take the notes correctly.
literally twice as many as you thought.
I know.
I know.
What other
I'm sorry.
lies does he have?
I'm not really a Kaiser
We'll get
fan.
to the bottom of this. We're not leaving this episode until we get to the bottom of it.
Would you say this stings, Nick?
Uh,
Oh my god.
Chapter 1.
Yeah. Chapter 1. So the Undersiders and the Red Hand come to Killington. What a great name. They dodge the traps, find nice guy. Him kills him. And Golem gets a message from Jack Slash himself.
Oh, nice guy.
okay, I gotta say, does Killington feel like a placeholder name that maybe never got fixed?
It's not the real name, right?
I
Or is it the
thought
real
it
name?
was,
I don't remember.
and that
Because it's like a
they
little
had
ski
picked-
town. I thought that they had I thought that when the 9 went through and murdered everybody, they did the thing, like in like zombie movies where someone has spray painted a line through the name of the town on
Yeah.
that the
Oh, it
the,
is.
the
Yeah,
sign.
Killington,
It's in
Killington,
Vermont.
Vermont. Yeah.
It's a ski resort.
Oh, it's really
town.
called Killington. Well,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
No, but I think you're onto something where I don't think that was because they're up in Vermont. Like, why else the hell would the Slaughterhouse 9 be in Vermont? They went there because they liked the name.
Okay.
I think if they could have
100%.
found Ninesville or Slaughtertown,
I guess that's
they
true.
would have.
They were like, what's a fun little spot that could be like a little vacay, but
Mm.
also
But we could
great name.
kill a ton of people.
You gotta know that one of the freaky members of the 9 suggested Cumming, Georgia.
Oh,
Mm.
for sure.
There's no nines.
Interesting. I didn't know it was a real town. Sorry, people of Killington. I didn't know you existed.
Well,
I
they
doubt-
don't anymore.
Oh,
Wiped
there
off
is
the
a
face of the earth.
German city called 9 Towns. Wait, is that real?
Ooh.
That just
So
means
Nick
no
and
town.
the Slaughterhouse 9 could have fun there.
9
Oh, true.
town.
9.
9.
9, you say. Fascinating.
Oh my
close.
gosh.
Slaughter, Louisiana. See? But then they'd have to go to
But
Louisiana.
then they'd have to go to
so-
Louisiana.
Also, the
Sla-
population's
Slaughterville,
997 people, so I guess if you
Yeah.
wanted to
Not
bang
enough.
out 100 people,
They were 2 away from making that the perfect place for the Slaughterhouse 9, though.
I know, right?
Anyways, Killington name aside, I did remember this arc just with the Red Hand and being like, I don't remember who it was, but a couple of them were kind of feeling like, should we be here? This feels more serious.
Yeah.
And Taylor's like, you don't have to leave. And,
Mhm.
and I don't remember who it was, but somebody's
Yeah,
like, that's
fuck.
kind of rude. And she's
Yeah,
like, no.
Taylor is such
it's
a
not.
fucking bitch.
Yeah, God. She's always been a little difficult, but I feel like this was the arc or this was this first chapter specifically, where I was like, God damn, who put bugs in your chili, man? Like, come on, God. Extra, not nasty, but just like extra petty and like uppity and like, girl, chill.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's weird because like on the one hand, she feels like she's one of like maybe 5 people that really believes the world's about to end, and they got to do whatever they can to stop it.
Yeah.
But like justified, but also, take a chill pill.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cozen Weaver back and forth really just made me like greatly annoyed. Like, of all the things that I greatly dislike whenever we have like 2 catty women going back and forth in this, like, I feel like it played into that trope too much. Like, Cozen and Weaver just like, I don't know, just like getting all like, they were like, at one point Cozen says something along the lines of like, oh well, and like the way that you treated Gru and the way that you left and everything, and then just kind of like implying that Taylor did all this damage when she left. Like, well, yeah, I mean, sure, whatever, but like, and then Taylor's response is like, I think he can speak for himself. Like, oh my gosh, can you two shut the fuck up? Like, also Gru, say something, my dude. Like, yeah, no, it just yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack from their conversation, but
It felt very much like high school Taylor again, and
yeah.
not the adult Taylor that I think we've been growing into. Maybe
Well,
part of why it was
I
a
mean,
bit
we
jarring.
time skipped through that.
Well, yeah, but just in the sense of
Cannot
like
confirm that Taylor is an adult.
true, but just in the sense that like the adult mentality, not the high school mentality she had before. It's kind of a callback to that, maybe. It's part of why it's frustrating.
It's actually interesting. I was thinking kind of the opposite. I think early Taylor really was somebody who was concerned with, we'll use bitch as the example, like trying to connect with people. And we have now reached the point where she has a mission, and that doesn't involve connecting with people who, because socially nothing matters when the world's about to end. So like, she has one focus, and I think she's been hanging around certain people long enough that who are just like her in terms of like down to businessness, looking at Defiant over there, that like she's locked everything else out. She is in the zone. She is one track mind. And I think that's actually I think high school Taylor would have been concerned about like trying to get people on board and to like be a part of the team somehow, to like find a place for them. And now she's like, no, if you like, you are either my way or the highway right now. And she's in a position of power to kind of do that.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense, actually. That's a good perspective on that I hadn't thought of. So,
yeah. In fact, she sounds and talks a lot like Arms Master if you listen to her in that first chapter.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could see that. A little bit of a parallel there for sure.
No, I like that.
Nice guy, fun power.
Fun. I love. It's so simple, but I love nice guys.
Yes.
Power. Like, what a perfect power for a murderer.
Right.
It's so good.
Yeah. I really love powers like that, like imps. It's a stranger power, right? That like kind of messes with your head. I really love a good stranger power. I think that can be so fun.
Yeah.
I like it because it's one of those powers that's like it's the kind of thing. What I love about Worm, the powers in Worm, is you will have these really subtle powers that honestly could let these characters like defeat gods in other comic iterations and things like that. Like, nice guy could straight up just go kill Batman or anybody else. Like, just easiest power in the world. Like, oh, you just think he's friendly. What a simple power.
Yeah.
Great.
No, the wiki says his power makes people incapable of perceiving him as a threat. Even if he commits violent acts, those observing him see him as a harmless bystander. So like, Yeah, so it is a very cool, like, again, very simple, but very cool power of just, I'm not a bad guy.
I'm
No.
a nice guy.
And of course it's, yeah, I'm a nice guy, exactly. And of course it's fitting that Imp kills him because he's probably not aware that it's funny how those powers interact, right? Like the wiki says he has to
Mhm.
be aware of the people in order to have his power working on them because
Mhm.
those who he
Interesting.
can't focus on are resistant to it. So of course the stranger power trumped the stranger power, which I thought was kind of a funny, like, nice little take on that, just showing how the powers interact.
Yeah.
I think it's also just goes back to the way Imp's power is different too, where she has to consciously turn it off. So even if she is ever caught up in something like that or noticed, like the second that his focus turns from her or anything like that, her power's on. It just activates. So
Yeah.
gives her a nice out in these situations.
Yeah. I also thought this was interesting. You know, look, we've pointed to this for a while that Theo, has had this time to prepare where he's got to kill Jack. And then parallel to that is also that the end of the world, and it's probably due to Jack, happening. These two separate things. But Jack is picking on Theo, and all I can think is, gee, isn't Taylor the one that smoked him like a Christmas ham? Like, shouldn't he be upset like, shouldn't he be, like, calling her out as his nemesis?
Right.
Because she's the one who's beaten him and, like, stripped him of half his, Slaughterhouse 9 when he decided to show up and play around. Like, he fucked
Yeah.
around and found out and had to run with his tail between his legs. Like, she almost got his ass and sent him on the run. And for some reason, he's got to pick a fight with Theo because in the end, Jack is a little bitch.
Well, it all goes back to the deal that they made, right? Obviously,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, but because to Jack, it seems like everything's a game, and so he's not interested in a straight up fight with his nemesis Taylor or whoever.
Yeah.
He's interested in playing
Yeah.
the game, whatever that
Because
game
he
might be.
knows he would
Right.
get beat.
Well, but like he clearly does enjoy, like he's constantly
Maybe.
giving these like weird, like he's trying to like put rules in place to play the game, because I feel like that's what Jack is into. It's like he's into these games with these crazy high stakes because I almost feel like it's because he's invested in like seeing how other people respond under that kind of pressure. Like when we saw his interlude, oh my god, ages and ages and ages ago, of like how he was talking about dangling the carrot and like seeing what motivates different people, like his love of the game is like what matters. So it's not like, oh, this individual person that I've fixated on. It feels like Jack like enjoys the game of all the players and who's gonna break first and who's gonna try and stay within his parameters, and like who's gonna play the game as well as he does. Like that's what I feel like motivates Jack. So like going straight
Yeah.
up against
Yeah.
Taylor wouldn't be playing the game. It would be, the yes, my base instinct of like going against my one nemesis. Like no, like Jack is he's more interested in the broader picture.
And he found out that he's going to end the world. So of course
Yeah.
he knows that, like,
God damn it.
he's trying to figure out that part of the game as well.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, no, I think probably too with Jack, having a level of awareness of capes and how they think and function, like we find out later in the arc. I imagine that he does want to get Taylor back, but he knows that she's going to come after him anyway. Like he doesn't have to taunt her, right?
Yeah.
To get
Yeah.
her to do anything. She's just going to do it because that's who she is.
Yeah. She's gonna stick herself in the game because she's a control freak.
Yeah, exactly. And she can control bugs too.
That's true. That's true.
Another kind of control freak.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, can someone please explain to me the instructions that Jack gives here when he leaves his like little VHS tape, whatever, for for what's his face for
You.
Golem? It because I listened to it a couple times and I just is confusing. Like he's talking about. I, I don't know. He had like some weird caveats and then was basically like, find me in 5 days or I'm going to let loose everybody. Like, I feel like he could have just said that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember
Like,
the
we're-
specifics, honestly.
It's so confusing. I didn't know what all the details were. Like, I got the main idea, but like, and the thing is that, you know, Taylor and the gang, the Scooby Gang, are gonna break the rules anyway. So like, it's not like the rules really matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I was very confused. I feel like if I ever came across, you know, a Jack, you know, game instruction situation, I'd be like, wait, can we rewind that? Because like I don't understand what the rules are.
Yeah, I got to take some
You
I
read
would
notes.
do
those
the
again.
right thing and ignore all of them because they don't matter and he doesn't play by the rules anyway.
That's true.
I know it is kind of funny. Like it works really well, but it is kind of funny how they're like, the deranged madman gave us rules to follow. Guess we gotta follow them. Like, he tricked us, devious bastard. Our one weakness. Chapter 2.
Oh, I did want to say real quick. Sorry, I was looking for what you were talking about, Hannah, but I saw this great line from Golem where he says, "You're his nemesis, Weaver. I'm the reason he's here. The reason these people died like this. But you're his counterpart, his mirror. You've got that same excitement Jack has. You think along the same lines in strategy and counter
yes.
strategy. You thrive on conflict just like he does, and I'm not like that."
Mm.
And I'm like,
Mm.
oh, that's
Yeah.
and that's true, right? Like we see that
Yeah.
what is Taylor best at is being in complex situations. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I had a note here about this chapter. I said it felt like the whole chapter was just a setup for that conversation with Golem and Weaver, to initiate that conversation, to set up the whole like Taylor is a mirror to Jack thing, like the strategist in him and kind of mirroring back that strategist in her of like the playing the game thing. But like it felt like all of like, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I greatly enjoyed all the weird, like curious gore and traps and stuff of this chapter, but like it all felt like it was just decoration to get them to have that conversation.
Mhm.
And like while I enjoyed it, it felt not unnecessary, but I think we've reached the part in Worm where I'm like enjoying the arcs less and less. I'm feeling like things are rushed. I'm not as like I'm not as appreciative of how the pacing is in these later arcs. And so I think like while I do love that conversation, it feels like this whole chapter was just a setup to have that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think honestly, in terms of enjoyment, this might be my least enjoyed arc so far.
I
It's not-
wondered if you might
Ooh.
say that. You don't
It's
tend
not
to
the-
enjoy the big fight arcs though.
Okay, so this is one like this is an arc that I know that I don't enjoy every time. I came into it like kind of blank slate, started reading it, and was fine with the whole thing. And it's just a boring arc. It's really boring until you get to the interludes. And for something that is it is the second longest arc, you know, in the series, nothing happens.
I mean, I wouldn't say nothing happens.
I mean, a few things.
It's all these. It's
I mean,
okay.
A few things
Okay.
happen.
Yeah.
in terms of think overhead, the plot progression.
I mean,
Ellen, England
we read the
gets
same arc.
blown up.
Okay, that is literally the last line of the whole thing. Like that is it. All we needed to do was get to Jack. Like that was the goal, and that doesn't happen till the interludes. I think the idea of like, man, this chapter was a setup for that conversation. I feel like you could say that about the chapters, period, to the actual interludes. Like the interlude is the main thing here, the 3 interludes.
Mhm.
And I kind of wish we had just done a Golem arc instead.
A
Interesting.
whole Golem arc would have been interesting.
Like he would have very quickly, been very introspective about his part to play walking through here. You get some Weaver doing her thing, going out and about, and then he gets picked up and they go fight Jack. Like that's really what we came here to do. And you're right, I don't like big fight arcs because it just gets repetitive. It's like watching the end of John Wick 3. At some point in time, the fight scenes just go on for too long and you kind of get bored and desensitized to them. And that's how a lot of these larger fights with the 9,000 go, where I'm just like, all right, they killed another person because they do it so fast and so quickly. Like, oh, we killed a Nyx, 7 more to go. Yay. Like, only 8,000 more Slaughterhouse 9,000 members. Oh boy. Like, it's just not, the stakes aren't there in terms of the intimate, how do powers play off of each other? And don't get me wrong, there's some cool combos that's just, it's very boring.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I think I disagree mostly just because I really enjoy getting to see new things, and because this arc includes some pretty big moments, like little new characters keep me interested, as well as getting to see Ellisburg and
Ooh,
with
yes.
Saints interlude as well. It felt like there was enough. To me, I could feel the tension building, right? It's sort of like they're trying to stop Jack, but you get this sense all along that things are going wrong for them, you
Yeah.
know? Um, and so, yeah, it's this kind of, I don't know, it's interesting. I can see your point. It is very long and it definitely felt long reading it, but I actually really enjoy these kinds of arcs where they are, trying to figure out how, like, I don't know, just the tension building of things feeling like it's falling apart already. But I don't know. It's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I'm
Yeah.
kind of the same way where I listen to the audiobook primarily, like commuting to and from work every day. But this arc and a couple other times I have stopped to directly read or reread a few of the chapters because I I get really invested. Although Alan and I have spoken about this in other podcasts, we read Worm for different reasons. I love the small moments. I love the character building and all this kind of stuff. But I got into Worm for cool power fights, and it is why I still read it. So I did enjoy this arc quite a bit for cool power fights.
I just like how powers get incorporated in with other people's. And like it's cool that the Slaughterhouse 9,000 gets like they get some fun mashups. And I think the creativity with that is really fun.
Yeah. See, for me, it's kind of funny because I feel the opposite in a way, Alan. I think the hardest arc interlude for me to read was the last one until the very end.
That was
Like
the time skip one, right?
that was the one with the history of the entities.
Uh
The
Wait. Are we
that's
talking the
the
chapters
I was about to say
or
the
arc?
chapter that has the history of the entities is this arc. The last
No, this arc. I'm sorry, I meant chapter. Yeah, the
Yeah.
hardest
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
chapter for me to read. Sorry, the hardest chapter for me to read in this arc
Yeah.
was the last one. Just because I don't know, my eyes kind of start to glaze over when the world building gets too heavy sometimes.
That is true. I remember reading that for the first time and being absolutely just bamboozled at what was going
Bamboozled.
on. And like not understanding the entire like kind of first part of it as you're reading, the first couple of paragraphs. And there's like a momentum where you pick up the rhythm and you're like, okay, wait a minute, I'm piecing together what's going on. It is in English, in fact, as it turns out. And by the end, you feel like you've put together what's going on for the creatures and the entities and potentially how they relate to powers.
Yeah,
And it is long. All of these are freaking long as all get out. But I mean, I think that's another one of those standout chapters in terms of its uniqueness.
that's true.
Engagement wise, Yeah, it probably goes on for a little too long.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll get to that chapter later.
Yeah, I've got some notes.
We should probably move forward.
We can move on. Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode of the Brockton Bay Book Club is sponsored by Maid Marian. Maid Marian creates custom cottagecore and Ren Fair clothing designed for every body. Whether you're looking for a lace-up bodice, rustic apron and pinafore, or ethereal dresses, you'll find items customized for every individual's fit and design. All items are lovingly hand-sewn with attention to detail and a touch of whimsy. Visit Maid Marian today and transform your wardrobe with clothing that feels as enchanting as it looks. Find Maid Marian on Etsy at themaidmarian.etsy.com. Okay, so chapter 2, Killington is burned. Defiant and Taylor have a chance to talk. Gollum faces his first challenge. They win, but Jack gets word, and 2 targets appear.
I don't remember this chapter.
I don't remember this chapter at all. Yeah.
So
Who do they fight in this chapter?
they end up fighting. They're in the It's the apartment's the next episode or the next chapter. Oh, that's right. Hold on, I gotta go back and look.
I know, right?
What were my
There's
notes?
a lot.
For this
There's a
section?
lot that happens in this arc. It's kind of crazy.
I know there's a mention of narwhal in this chapter because I just have a note that says narwhal in all caps. Let's
They
see.
fight Winter and Crimson.
The Winter fight.
yes.
Winter, Crimson, and Screamer.
Yes, all the whispery.
Oh,
creepiness.
right.
This some of the other fights I was invested in. This was the fight that I was not. I had a hard time, and it was because of like Taylor kind of taking a back seat and just like relaying to us the information that she sees and interacts with. It was a little bit harder for me to like follow along.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Screamer was in. I remember the Screamer portion of this fight was kind of interesting. But yeah,
Yes.
it does kind of. It's easy to sort of glaze over.
Well, and part of it too is that Taylor's not even in the fight. She's like watching the fight.
yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
So
she's getting whispered in her ear.
yeah, this is one where Theo's perspective I think would have been the better one, like you said, Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Screamer's power is interesting to me though. The ability to manipulate sound, Wiki says, within about a mile's radius. And the ability to make
Mhm.
your bones vibrate so you can hear sounds.
Yes.
That
was so
that's
cool.
crazy.
Terrifying.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I like my bones where they are.
Yeah.
Another great use of
Bad vibes,
the
you might say.
stranger. What'd you say, Nick?
Bad vibes. Bad vibes.
Bad vibes. Oh, bad vibes. Okay.
Because
Because they're vibes. And yeah.
Yeah. mhm.
We got it.
Yeah, no, this was another great example or a great use of the stranger classification, and like
Mhm.
I really do love reading sections that like where Taylor is interacting with the stranger classification. Specifically, like they have these code words in place, and Golem like he fucks up a code word because he's stressed out, and Taylor kind of has this moment where she's like trying to decide if it's like is it Screamer or is it Golem under stress, and that's why he fucked up the code word. Like, and that
Mhm.
little bit of doubt, like it's just a sprinkling, but it's just enough doubt to make us like sit on the edge of our seat, be like, oh boy, like what is it? What's
Yep.
going on? And I love that. I really do love that. I think what it is it's the unreliable narrator vibe with Stranger Class, and I've determined I really like an unreliable narrator. I think that's really fun, as long as we can then see like the perspective of things separately, which is again why I enjoyed the interlude so much for this arc. But Stranger Class stuff just
Mhm.
gets my blood pumping.
Yeah. Yeah. Really fun. Well, I didn't have much more for this chapter.
Oh, was this? Oh, sorry, we're on 26.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point two.
Let's see. Taylor reads Braille now for multi-reading. That's pretty cool. Very Taylor.
Oh yes,
Oh.
with her papers, all of her papers
Right,
and
right,
stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Smart way to intake information because, normally you can only intake a little bit, but if you're doing Braille, you can have thousands of input at the same time. As many as you can put bugs on, basically.
Right, really.
Crazy.
Oh, I have a note. I remember now why my brain skims these chapters. Boring processes. Looking at Taylor from the outside. 5'10", 130 pounds, skinny
God.
bitch.
I actually, I'm so glad you brought that up. So I actually looked it up because I was thinking about that and I was like looking at like your body mass and your BMI. I was like 5'10" and 130 pounds. And that is
That's very skinny.
that is tiny.
Now, to be fair,
I looked it up. I found a picture of somebody who is a girl who's 5'10", 130 pounds. It's
Share it.
it is all fucking muscle. Like there is not. Oh my god, it's just so much muscle. Like it's all muscle. There's like no body fat on this woman at all. Like I mean, she looks like what I kind of imagine Taylor looked like an absolute athlete, someone who runs constantly. Like I imagine Taylor never walks anywhere. She like runs or jogs from room to room.
yeah,
But
I always think the difference between like building muscle and then like doing your cardio is one is like bulking up so that the muscle increases, and the other is essentially shrink wrapping your skin to your muscle that exists there.
Mhm.
Basically.
Because I
Yeah.
put the 5'10", 130 pounds, skinny bitch. And then a note under that. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm 6'3", and when I was in high school, I weighed 150 pounds.
okay, I put the picture in our Discord so you guys can see. But yeah, no, the you can see the muscles in her thighs, like her ab muscles, her arm muscles. Like she's not even flexing, and they're clearly visible. It's like this is a girl who puts tremendous amount of time and effort into her exercise, her workout routine, and like that is not that. I was literally just talking about this with somebody last night, but like your hobby is exercising, like that is your
Yeah.
hobby, and like that's Taylor. Like Taylor pours all of her time into bug stuff strategy and working out and like practicing with Golem and everybody else and like running on rooftops.
Mhm.
I mean, I imagine, So
She's
like
she's the example of the meme of the like, while you were reading books, I was studying the blade. You know?
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's insanely impressive. This would never I could never. This is not the life. But yeah, no, I mean, back to Taylor though. Like Taylor is a tall lady, a lean, mean fighting machine.
Yeah. And it makes sense too. Like, I mean, in story, this is 2 years of time skip. So 2 years
Yeah.
of training, but she extra training with Theo on top of her like normal, probably just daily routine that she has. So
Yeah.
definitely would expect her to be, bigger, taller, stronger at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
The dragon's teeth. Getting some strong like Mandalorian Space Marine vibes here.
For sure.
Because they're like
Oh, yeah.
something we'll find out later. Dragon's teeth, they've got all the best gear that Defiant and Dragon have to offer, but
Love
they're
it.
unpowered.
Love 'em.
And they also have that cool thing where they are getting no external input directly. They're only getting cams and audio, so they are not getting messed with by a lot of the stranger slash like a lot of the powers are not
Yep.
affecting
cool.
them because
Right.
they're in the suits.
Oh, that's smart. Oh man, I just hope they hired Coil Sniper.
Man, if ooh,
I mean, to be fair though, you know what? No, we'll get to that later. Coil Sniper is definitely in this arc.
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
yeah. There's also the cool, talking about the demon sword maker, however you pronounce it. I used to say
Masamune.
Mazmune growing up because that's how people who pronounced it when they played the original Final Fantasy and talked about it, they used to say Mazmune. But I guess it's Masamune.
Yeah, Masamune.
Masamune.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But
It
I
was.
guess I'm guessing from context that his ability is he can replicate Tinker Tech with no degradation,
So cool.
which is a game changer.
For real.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that's all the notes I have for that chapter.
Chapter 3.
Chapter Trace Lay Chase. Let's see. Number 3. Yes. Okay. So I really enjoyed this chapter. Taylor's group attacks an apartment. The Slaughterhouse Niners ambush them. Eidolon comes to help, but gets turned away. And we find out that Jack is headed to Nilbog. I really liked the way that they had the apartment building rigged up with the pressure situation, so that every time they busted through a wall, it would like fill in with the glacier. And I think Taylor likens it to like mall whooshing automatic doors, like at a grocery store. And the pressurized air is designed to keep the bugs out every time the door opens, which is so cool. I didn't know that. And kind of that idea of like, well, there's an internalized air pressure of the building, so that if the perimeter is broken, the building has like an automatic, well, not automatic, but like powerized defense, basically, which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. It's a mannequin they fight here in 26.3, right?
He is the one doing the environmental powers.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's
like,
got the
on the
environmental
building.
powers. I'm trying to remember who else.
There's also the other one, the one that's upstairs in the box. I can't remember what his name is. It's one of the 9,000. Basically like can pretend to be somebody else and appear to be somebody else through like a fog that they emit through like gills.
Miasma?
No, it's one of the 9,000 members.
Psychosoma?
Okay. Is it Psychosoma? Maybe it is Psychosoma. I can't remember. But one of them basically pretends to be Jack in the box. And then they realize that, wait, like, no, this isn't Jack. And so then the stuff disappears and it's just like a poor kid trapped in the box. And they're like, oh my gosh, get the kid out.
Yeah, that's
then
Psychosoma.
Yeah. And then they realize, like, no, it's not a kid. It is Psychosoma. Like 3 layers deep in this Inception motherfucker.
There's more Psychosomas later, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's also murder rats in this one, as well as Hatchet Face.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of
Oh
murder
yeah,
rats
because
and
they
Hatchet
have the
Face.
whole fight in the stairwell.
Yeah.
Where
I did like
people
that
get-
fight because of the whole Hatchet Face kind of creating this timer on the fight of we need to move before he arrives because we can't fight when he comes.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just such an interesting thing. I do really like Hatchet Face's powers. I wish we kind of saw a little bit more of him. But again,
Yeah.
just one of those really simple but interesting powers. He's got super strength and he nullifies superpowers at a certain range.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, right? It's just like
Yeah.
It's a great
like,
combo.
he is the horror movie villain, like slowly walking through the building,
Yes.
inevitably going to catch you, even though he's always walking for some reason.
Oh, I love it. I love that. So
Except
great.
I do love I can't remember if it's here or if it's later. Because doesn't Tecton kill a Hatchet Face or the Hatchet Face? Is it here?
I can't remember.
I can't remember. I know Group picks up his power for a second here.
Yeah.
And they're all like, stop.
Yeah. But the fact that like Tinkers in suits can kind of overcome Hatchet Face because it's a suit. It's not a power.
Yeah.
The
It's all
Tecton,
mechanical.
Yeah. Just punches him out. I think it might be this chapter. I have to go find it again.
Oh,
I
there's
know
also
they do that later. For sure.
there's also
as well.
Breed as well as here, or at least
Oh.
some of Breed's spawn.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Breed
yeah,
was also
gross.
in the first chapter as well. Really gross, but
Breed
really
definitely
cool.
seems like an S-class threat.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just the like, because wasn't Breed also in Killington, and they're like, wash your
Yes.
orifices, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wash
Oh
their
my-
orifice,
yeah.
and then the second chapter they burn Killington, like because they're
Yeah.
not about to let that.
Yeah, they can't.
A famous line in one of our D&D campaigns: "We don't let that shit skitter."
Yeah,
if
no,
you-
Take
Breed.
care of it with fire.
If your solution to a cape is burn the whole town down, that sounds like an S-class threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, all I'm imagining is like face hugger type stuff from Alien.
Oh,
is
yeah.
what the vibe
Yeah,
it
that's
gives, and
kind of
it's
the
awful.
visual.
I mean, I'm just
Terrifying.
thinking cockroaches just everywhere. Cockroaches with like biters.
ugh.
Yeah.
Like, what are those bugs? Fuck, they're earwigs.
Yeah,
I kind of
yeah.
imagine
Long
like a
earwig
larger
vibes.
earwig. It's because it's got like
Oh.
those pinchery
like an
thingies.
earwig, but the size of a chihuahua.
Ugh.
Like the ones in
So gross.
in King Kong, the old King Kong. I can't believe I just called it the
I
old
haven't
King
seen it.
Kong. Holy shit, I'm old.
You mean the
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson King
Yeah,
Kong,
Peter
right?
Jackson Kong, which is coming up on 20 years old.
Wow.
That's pretty old.
Oh wow. Oh my god.
Yeah, it came out in 2005. So join me in the grave, my friends.
We're not. It's not that old. We're not that old. Come on. Don't bury us yet, Jacob. Jesus.
I'm just already down there. Who's coming with me?
Like you're standing at the bottom
Yeah.
of the hole with a shovel.
My life had a good run.
Oh. Oh my
Anyway,
God.
the super creepy insect scene in that
Yes.
movie. The
Yeah.
down in the pit. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Gross. Disgusting.
Hard pass.
Hard pass. A smash.
What's the? I also think of the boys scene where he's like, Frenchie is like, he's trying to get in my ass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With
Or
guy
we
that
want to go
shrinks.
to actually having a bug in your ass. We go all the way back to the movie Evolution, where famously in the trailer they're like got the guy on the table and they're like, "Where's it going?" Because it's like gotten under his skin and they're like watching, like it's crawling
No.
towards your ass.
No.
Oh no.
It's like
Like
my
under the
worst
skin, like
fucking nightmare.
running around.
I haven't seen that movie, but I know the scarabs do that in the Mummy movie, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yes.
That's right. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Is it time to rewatch The Mummy?
Always is.
I haven't seen the Mummy,
Always.
but I have seen that one scene and it traumatized me as a
Oh,
child.
you really should. And it's spooky season right now. Now is an
It's
excellent
a good
time.
season. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a good
Good
time
movie.
to
The right
rewatch it.
time.
Yeah.
Watch the night away.
Still holds up. Great movie.
Anyways, again, yeah, kind of a slightly forgettable fight scene. I do like one of the small things I like here is Crucible, one of the heroes, who I remember he was mentioned earlier as an example of a hero who's really only a hero because of good PR.
Yeah.
Because his
Yeah.
power is just to like
So
trap
scary.
things in a fiery orb and burn them. And it's
Yeah.
like, how are you a hero? Like,
Yep.
but it's good because they've got Breed and these awful villains, and it's like, no, yeah, just burn them alive.
Yeah,
It's good.
he's like a
just-
perfect exterminator to have on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have Sundancer anymore, so I think Crucible is the
Oh
best
my
second option,
God.
probably.
Yeah, perhaps.
I have a bunch of shout outs for the different heroes. I have Clock Blocker is on it.
Oh my God.
Ah,
Okay, we
yeah.
got it. We're gonna come back to that. Continue, but when you're done, we're coming back to Clock Blocker because I
Yeah.
got things
Clock
to
Blocker
say.
is on it. Toggle is also on it. Vista
Toggle!
knows what's
Mhm.
up.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Foil's Sniper for the win. Not Coil Sniper. But close.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can go back to those and talk. Clockblocker being on it, I said squad leader's job is to eventually say no.
Oh. I freaking love Clock Blocker so much. I've always
so
been a
good.
Clock Blocker fan. And like having the Clock Blocker Weaver Wombo combo back at it
Mhm.
again, like fuck yeah,
Mhm.
let's go. And I totally 100% agree with Toggle. I ship it. Like the vibes are immaculate. I will say though, the first half of this arc I did listen to, and then the second half I read. But the first half, the voice, I think that I have immense amount of respect for all of the narrators who did Worm. Like I appreciate all of the hard work they put in, but the voice that the narrator gave for Clock Blocker is like the most like posh, like British sounding voice, and all I could think of was like, this is giving me oh my God, what's his fucking name? Bone Dude, Amelia's dad. What's his name? The Bone
Marquis.
Marquis. So like it's giving me like Marquis vibes, and so I was like, I couldn't take it seriously. I had to switch to reading it because
It's
I was
funny
like,
because
what?
in the other audiobook version, the comment that I saw about it was like, when did Clock Blocker become Batman?
Yeah.
He's got this like really deep voice.
Oh, I
And
love
just
that,
with his
though.
like pessimism that he's gained,
Oh,
it's just like he gives off these Batman vibes.
I
Yeah.
need to go and listen
It's
to
great.
that then.
But he still has time to have the hots for Weaver.
Oh.
Vista essentially being like, yo, clock blocker, do you
Love
need to
it.
go around the corner and jerk off real quick?
Do you need a moment?
Do
Oh,
you need
I
to
love
sort
it.
yourself out? We are
I
wearing
love
skin tight clothing and I can see what's up.
I think they would make such a fun little pair. Like, I think that they would be great. Like, they would be great in battle together. They would be like he's like super funny and he's got his like kind of like shoot from the hip humor. And she's very like, she's a little, she doesn't do comedy. Weaver is not a comic.
She's not a natural comic, to
she's
be
not
sure.
a
But that's only because she doubts herself. She's got witticisms there, but they're like better in like, she doesn't say them out loud and she thinks about them in the shower later. She's like, man, if I'd said this then, it would have been really funny and they all would have laughed. But she never says
ship
it.
is possible. You have a bay full of these ships, and any one of them
my
could
gosh.
set sail. Now,
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And also, I
love
forget
it.
if they mentioned this or this was just something in my head, but I have the I have the phrase case 53 rule 34
Yes, I was actually just looking at that.
or as I quickly abbreviated C53R34.
Oh no.
Yeah, rule 53.
Listeners, I need you to go online right now. I need you to type in C53R34. Tell me what comes up.
R34.
And is it good?
Okay, so C53. I'm gonna put a space R34.
I do like
It's a
that.
car.
I do like.
Weld. Oh my.
Although if I don't put a space, the first, it's like, it looks like there aren't many great matches for your search. But then the top thing is from the Parahuman subreddit. So.
Oh, I bet it is.
I just imagine though. I do love the line of like, that doesn't exist, does it? Toggle asked. Case 53 porn. Everything exists, Kidwin said, and I love that Kidwin knows the rule of the internet. And he
Of course he
would.
does.
Of course he does.
Yeah. He's a mod. Come on.
All I'm imagining is a subreddit post that's like, hey, do you guys remember in 26.3 when Toggle asks if case 53 porn exists? Haha. Isn't that funny? Anybody know where I can find some?
Oh, also, the correct answer is not to look it up by parahumans, although there very certainly is some.
Oh no.
It's to look it up by Wildbow.
Oh no.
That's the keyword.
I can't believe I'm looking this up right. I have to. I'm sorry. Hold on one moment.
It's for research, Hannah.
That's for research. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh no. Oh, no.
It's not good. It's not good. But it's there. And
Listen,
you know
if there's some great fan art of Worm and there's some not so great fan art of Worm,
Oh
I can
my
only
I'm not
imagine
saying
the
it's
people.
bad quality, but I'm saying that
There's
the
a
Rule
mix.
34 stuff could improve.
Some
what I'm
of
saying
this
is, listeners,
bad.
you need to get on that.
No.
You need to step up your game.
I judged the quality of an IP by the quality of its porn.
Man,
God.
Overwatch has got to
Oh,
be like the best IP.
Oh no.
Kinky.
Overwatch is a game?
yeah. It's a game they modeled off of all that porn art.
Yeah. Man.
Wow.
Anyway,
moving on.
We gotta move on.
Vista,
We gotta move on.
Vista slowly becoming an absolute badass. She now has a cool ass scar and a gun.
That's pretty neato.
Oh yeah. Can
What a
she?
badass.
Could like? I mean, cool. She's got a gun, but can't you just like condense space to bring someone within stabbing range?
I mean, or execution range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that. Also, like, if somebody was really far away and you were, Coil's sniper, but you had Vista powers, you could be making the world's longest shots and just like, condensing all that miles, to hit them at like 300 feet.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's how far her thing could reach, but you get what I'm saying. Like, gun, pretty good. Facing getting stabbed at, very fast.
Oh, I do have a note here that says, "Oh, Cozen couldn't handle the pressure. Haha, bitch."
Weak ass.
If you can't
bitch.
tell, I really hate Cozen.
We just all hate
Ugh.
Cozen.
Ugh.
Also, on Toggle's wiki, it's got a picture there, but the subtitle is "Poor quality fan art by Dr. Stalker."
Wow.
I'm like, oh,
I'd like to think that was self-titled too.
I hope it was. It was added by Dr. Stalker. Okay, cool. So maybe
Okay.
they did title it themselves.
They
I just thought
saw
that
that
was
there
really
was no
funny.
picture and they fulfilled it. And they were like, hey, can you do better? And you know what? Nobody has.
There you go. That's true. That's true.
That's right.
Ooh.
Any other notes?
Murder rat coming out of the wound. Wild. I hate it.
Yeah, very gross.
Murder Rat doing what now?
So once Murder Rat inflicts a wound, they can teleport through that wound.
Oh, I
So
feel like
at
I
one
missed
point in
one.
time,
That's
I forget
No.
who gets got, but Murder Rat cuts somebody and then later on emerges from that wound
Gross.
as their process of teleportation.
Ah,
Little
that's exciting.
skin teleportation. We do not like.
Yeah.
But of course, Foil's sniper for the win. Just they blow open the wall very quickly, snipe inside, take them out. That was cool.
Yep.
It only takes a moment.
Now we'll cover a couple other moments, but Foil has some badass moments this arc.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come back. Put a pin in Foil.
Yeah. And then finally in my last note, I give you my word as a hero, and then they all burn her to death.
God.
I like that. We love some morally gray. Like, look, this is not we're not playing no games.
Yeah.
Who did they burn to death?
It's the Psychosoma, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're like, look, I'll tell you where Jack went if you promise not to kill me. And they're like, I think we can arrange that. Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Jack went to Ellisburg or whatever it is. Like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Burn him.
Yeah. Well, we don't we don't negotiate with criminals.
We don't negotiate with criminals.
No, I mean,
Woof.
yeah, it's a great little moment. I think it's important.
Oh, for sure.
It's the whole. It's like the whole. It's funny because it plays against the whole sort of trope of the story up to this point, which is very cops and robbers. Like, oh, give a little territory, take a little territory. Oh no, you caught me. I'm the bad guy. Send me to the bird cage. And like, then we get to hear, and we're past that now.
Yeah.
None
It
of
also
that.
just proves that like the Slaughterhouse 9 in general, like they are class S threats as a whole, and even in the individual members, like we're not gonna take you in. Like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yep.
You don't get to go to the birdcage, you stupid bitch.
You stupid bitch.
Starts pouring gasoline.
God.
Yeah.
Interlude?
Oh, it was Nyx that they burned.
Nyx.
Oh, Nyx.
Oh
Okay.
yes.
Nyx was the
Yes,
one
yes,
who was
yes,
there.
Yes.
I did want to mention too, I like the foreshadowing with Eidolon, where he's like, I'm here to help. And they're like, no, you're good. Just go away.
Back off.
And just the, Taylor being like, look, if I spaz out, somebody can kill me. If you spaz out, ooh.
We're fucked.
You guys seen that video of the little toddler with the maraca, and the parent shakes the maraca, and the little toddler comes running into the room like, no, 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 and has like a whole attitude. Put it down.
Oh yeah.
And it
yeah,
keeps
yeah.
shaking. That's all I can think of here. Every time it's like Eidolon just shows up. Taylor's like, no, 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 no. Out. Every time.
If it were Legend, I would feel worse because I actually like Legend, but there's that
Me too.
moment of like with him where he's like, I'm willing to give my life, but it doesn't really matter, does it? And she's like, nope. Bye.
Yep.
Bye, bitch.
Yeah,
There's the
'Cause
door,
nobody
bitch.
can kill
There's
you,
the
dude.
door.
yeah. I don't think you understand.
Cool motive. You're still not coming over here.
Yeah.
You're not
But it's
coming.
honestly, it's a good bit of setup because this happens a couple times. And you, at least reading it, and honestly, I can't remember where my mind was reading it the first time. But rereading it here, I'm like, it kind of reads like it's setting up that something's going to happen with Eidolon. It just kind of
Mhm.
makes sense. He's going to develop. He's going to create a weird power. Who knows what it could be? But it just makes sense that he would be a catalyst for the end of the world.
Yeah.
And oh, how the rugs be pulled.
Yeah. Interlude.
I was gonna say we got a lot of arc to get through.
Yeah, we do. We really do. Okay, so interlude. There's a lot of interludes in this arc. This is the Saint interlude.
My boy.
Dragon coordinates the offensive against the 9 while Saint watches. Then sees that she's trying to track him down. He reminisces and then pulls her plug. The Dragon Slayers take over.
I
Woof.
love
In defense of Saint.
No.
No. Hear me out, because we're going to spend the rest of this time doing what we all know is about to happen.
Just shitting
In
on
defense
Saint.
of Saint. Number 1, he has a cool moving face tattoo that looks like an electric circuit cross, as we found out. Emphasis that it moves. 2, he's essentially a cool Power Ranger with Mechazoids. 3, he is trying to stop Skynet from going online.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's seen Terminator. Yep.
He's seen Terminator. He's not just seen Terminator. He's seen all the movies where that happens.
Yeah.
And 4, he essentially was tasked by Dragon's dad to be like, hey, there's a couple of my creations out there, and they're probably gonna fuck some shit up. Like if they get, out of control. So we need you hounding them.
Yeah.
Now that's been said.
Yeah. Continue.
No. Now that's been said, let's get into why we're here.
Fuck that guy, am I
Fuck
right?
you piece of shit motherfucker. I
Oh
will
my
beat your
God.
ass.
I have one note for this episode, or for this chapter. It just says, "No, you fuck," which I feel like encompasses things pretty well, very succinctly.
I'm a Saint stan. A Saint stan.
A Saint stan. A Saint. A Saint.
You're
A
a
taint.
stain.
A taint
You're a
stand.
stain, and you had it right the first time.
I'm a Saint stan.
You're a tan stain.
Yeah. Here's why I love Saint. So obviously, from our perspective as the reader, through Taylor, we hate Saint. He can go die. But from an in-universe, like bird's eye view, Saint is doing exactly what Taylor is doing. The exact same thing. Saint has honed in on what he considers to be the threat to end the world. Remember I said there's like a handful of people that think the world's going to end? Saint's one of them. Saint is one of those handful, and sees Dragon as the end all be all, which in all honesty, not a bad pick. If you're going to pick some sort of threat to potentially wipe out the world, Dragon's probably up there.
Yeah.
And not only that, not only is he dedicated and driven, he succeeds. He takes Dragon out of play. And what happens? Unless I'm misremembering.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The probability and the success rates change drastically the second the dragon goes offline.
Exactly. Now, whether or not that has an actual impact, it's pretty ambiguous. But I love that we get characters like this that essentially parallel the main character in the story, but just from a different perspective. Because it gives us as the reader the ability to sort of see ourselves or see the main character sort of in a mirror and really see what's going on. Because we're saying fuck Saint. Are we really saying fuck Taylor? Like, there's a lot of fun parallels.
I
You know
am
what?
saying
I'll say
fuck
it.
Taylor.
Fuck Taylor too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you could kind of just say it with Taylor, which I think I would. But no, I love that a character like Saint exists in this story because it is kind of weird if Taylor's the only character that is trying to do anything about the end of the world.
Yeah.
Really, you know.
Yeah.
Saint
Well,
is
and
really
again-
cool in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
universe.
is really
Like,
he is very cool. Yeah. But like you said, Jacob, I think that's the point, right? Is that we like there's this upset with him when you realize what he's about to do, and you're like, no,
Yeah,
don't do
right.
that.
Yeah.
But then when you realize that Dinah's like, wait, no, our chances of succeeding just went up.
Yeah.
It hits you of like, oh, that might have been the right call,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
Ugh,
it's
weird.
this weird moment
Yeah.
of realizing,
very upsetting.
yeah, very upsetting, but it's this idea of, oh, the person who's been controlling all of this, they were actually a potential threat. And we don't know because, we know it really does happen, but we don't know. Like, what if Dragon had met Jack on the battlefield?
Mm.
Hmm. Yep.
Could something have gone terribly wrong there, like it does later with, like we'll talk about. And so I don't know. So it is so interesting, right? And I do like that parallel too, Jacob, because it does sort of force us to confront that question of what are we willing to do to increase the odds of success in this, end of the world scenario, right? It's kind of do you kill 1,000 to save 10,000 kind of a
Mm.
Yeah, right.
situation.
Very
almost.
trolley problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then it gets into that question of like, okay, well, if we stop Dragon and the numbers go up, like what if the answer really was Golem? Actually, our odds will go up if we just kill you and you don't fight Drag, right? Like it's like
right.
like would
Yeah.
you be willing to kill Golem to stop the end of the
Yeah.
world?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. So it's a lot. It sucks. And Arms Master is weebing out over there. But
Yeah.
or Defiant. Sorry,
my
Defiant.
waifu.
No, not my Robo waifu. No, why?
Oh.
That's okay.
But
Yeah, I think what specifically while Saint has his moments. Honestly, this interlude makes Saint a lot cooler than we've kind of encountered before, which is not a
True.
lot.
Yeah.
Saint is more than this. He is a little bitch, as we've established. Like
Indeed.
there are times later where they are essentially yelling at him like, well, you've killed Dragon and you're in charge now and you're not being helpful.
Yeah.
Like even though he did the thing, he's still a little like he's still not like he's still a little bitch coward that is not helping people. Like, if really he was trying to help, stop the end of the world, he would at least do a better job at taking over and like trying to get the job of ending the world or stopping the end of the world done. Like, and he doesn't.
But maybe that's the point. Maybe him being bad at it was kind of helping them. So, but like again, I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
It's
right.
just
I think I used this actor before and talking when we're talking about fan cast, but I'm going to change. I think the actor who plays Stuart in Letterkenny would make a great Saint.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, because
I
he
love that
fucking
so
bulks
much.
up. He'd look so good as Saint.
Yep.
Wow.
I think that's my new
Mhm.
my new
Fan
image.
cast.
So I'm wondering because Andrew Richter. Two things. Number one, Dobrynya, our new dragon name that we have, a famous Russian knight who's like
Oh.
an archetype in a bunch of stories in Russian folklore. Typically fights dragons. So that is the Russian guy that they have
fun.
on their team.
Fun.
Dobrynya.
Fun fact: Dobrinja is also a neighborhood in the town that I grew up in Bosnia.
Oh, that's
Very nice.
cool.
That popped up, and I was like, oh.
And then Andrew Richter, I'm guessing from here that his power was creating artificial life or just non-bio life, maybe,
Mhm.
because he was a tinker.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was his thing. And then it has, So Dragon has siblings. Ta-da!
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god. That made me super curious.
Called Manhunter and Robin Hood.
The Robin Hood was the whole like moving money around program, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know why they took that one out. It was, I guess they repurposed it, but
Yeah, they
that one was
repurposed
doing
it
good work in the
until
world.
the dragon people had so many dragon slayers had so much money that like, well, we don't really need this anymore. So they like discontinued the program because it was piggybacking off of, or there was a villain group that was piggybacking off of it or something.
Maybe that.
So they just shut it down. I think they talk about it. I think some gang in like Asia is like piggybacking off of the Robin Hood system to like hack into people's like accounts and stuff, and so they just decided to shut it down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can only guess at what Manhunter was doing. So
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
some fun ones.
It's just a dating app.
Yeah.
Wow. It's just Grinder.
Yeah. Earth Bets Grinder. Yeah.
I love it. I love
You on
it.
Manhunter, bro?
You know
I'm
it, bro.
what is my purpose?
Oh boy.
You
let me
help
tell
gay
you.
men get laid.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
You
my
help men
god.
get laid. Oh my god. That's funny. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm looking at a note here. I'm trying to decipher what I was saying, but it looks like the world-ending decrease for Dragon, stopping Dragon, but a casualty increase. So I find it interesting that the potential for the world to end was decreased with her going away, but I guess because Dragon would have helped in the fight afterwards, potentially with Scion now.
Mm-hmm.
That that's why the casualty is increased so immensely.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing they mention was like, oh, potential for the world to end's down, but also the casualty rate's up.
Yeah. Right. It's weird. Oh man. Clairvoyants really mess everything up.
Yeah, they do. Any more Saint notes?
I think that's all I got for the Saint interlude. Yeah,
On to Nilbog.
chapter 4.
Yeah.
So Taylor and the crew are going to Ellisburg, and I believe on the way, they realize that Dragon's down. She does this little parlay with Nilbog and Jack, and then eventually Golem comes up with them after some tense negotiation. They set off. Everything goes to shit, and they have to fight all of Nilbog's monsters. Yeah.
Oh.
Eventually, Jack runs away with
dies,
Nilbog.
right?
Allegedly.
Yet. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Oh, that's right. I don't think it's confirmed.
Oh, that's right. No, they take
Taylor,
him. They take Nilbog with them, right?
Because Taylor pulls an Alexandria on him and does the whole thing where he's in his underground cocoon and she fills his orifice and chokes him to death. But Jack gets away with his body. I'm pretty sure Siberian goes down and rips him out of the ground.
Which
and then they
is
run
a
away.
hilarious to me.
That's right.
Because she grabs his esophagus hose, and then because now he's
his umbilical cord thing.
Yeah, just rips him out of the ground because he's invincible now. It's such a weird image to me because he's supposed to be massive. Just Siberian just pulling out this giant blob of mass from the ground. I got him. Yeah. This conversation was tense.
Yeah.
Oh man. See, this is the kind of chapters I like. The tense negotiations with crazy people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mind games between both of them. trying to
And kind of
trying
like
to win.
learning to talk his language where he's like, "You're in my kingdom. You must respect the king."
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, the first time I read this, it took me way too long to realize Nilbog is just goblin backwards.
Yeah. Wildbow has all these really, really cool names.
Yeah, it may have been the line where they call him the Goblin King, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Big Treebeard energy, honestly, with this one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. There is a scene that feels somewhat identical to this weird, creepy negotiation over a dinner table that happens in Wild Bow's sequel work, Pact. Yeah, I believe it's Pact. He has almost like what feels like an identical vibes to this scene.
Oh, that's funny.
But instead of a negotiation between a bunch of people, it's just contract law.
We love a good lawyer story.
Yeah.
Legal drama, as it were.
Isn't that the witchy one?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining. Yeah, Nilbog has a lawyer, little lawyer gremlin that he spawns.
Oof.
Comes sits down at the table. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's not a lot to I really like the back and forth conversation. I like Golem's interactions trying to win the day. But like it's funny because it's also kind of clear that Jack's untouchable and Nilbog
It's
is
stupid.
dumb as a rock, is insulting the intelligence of rocks. Yeah. Like there was no winning here.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like they describe, he's a guy who literally created a society, but for him, there's no intelligence there, right? Like he's never talked to people
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
however many years he's been there. Yeah, so
Yep.
it's like, it's awkward, it's painful. It does feel like talking to like a fairy or to like I don't know, like
A kid, a spoiled child.
like a spoiled child. I haven't seen Alice in Wonderland in a while, but it kind of has like Queen of Hearts vibes, maybe.
Oh yeah, no.
Mhm.
Rasbeth
Yeah.
Krim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, I think Ellisburg is kind of modeled after a sort of Alice in Wonderland vibe, right? Like
It does
in my
feel like it.
mind, I always imagined it as a wasteland, but they get inside and they're like, no, it's like weirdly pretty,
Yeah.
and that makes it worse.
Yeah, like stuff is growing.
does.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't say pretty. I would say almost like the entire world is saccharine. Like it's
Yeah, exactly.
slothy and candy
it's-
sweet and
It's
just
cultivated. Yeah, it's a cultivated cutesy kingdom almost.
Sickly.
but
that's
everything's
sickly
like
sweet, yeah.
slightly melted and off and
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
It's
Did we-
Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but where all the chocolate's been like, left out to dry for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't we equate this to very much of that episode from Rick and Morty?
Yes,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
100% that
Yeah.
episode from Rick and Morty.
It's literally just that episode, to the point where I'm pretty sure Wildbow wrote this first. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some Rick and Morty staff writer read Worm and was like, we're gonna do this.
We're gonna.
What you mean the
Yeah,
one where like
sorry,
it's the guy who's trapped in his own world?
Yeah, it's Beth's childhood
Yeah.
friend. Yeah.
Beth's
That she
childhood
thought was
friend.
imaginary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the
it wasn't.
imaginary world, and he's just like
Yeah.
stuck there in this like a weird childish like mental.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, that's such a weird episode.
And
I
like
kinda
all the
hate
little
it.
creatures
It's
are like putting on a
terrible.
play.
Yeah.
It's
it gets
bad.
grosser and grosser as you watch
Yeah.
it.
That's
Yeah.
right. Oh, I remember that.
I
one.
will
Oh, it's a
hump
bad
this
memory.
tree.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah,
hump
will
this
hump
rock.
this rock.
And it gets worse. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say the next line. Horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not great, I'll tell you that.
But what happens next?
Do you want me to read the next episode?
I mean, that's what I was
Sorry.
leading on, unless anyone else had more
Okay,
No,
got
no,
it.
notes. Yeah.
Chapter 5. The
Five.
heroes unite to contain Ellisburg. the wards and the Undersiders swap places. A building crushes the Siberians. Chevalier executes a snowman,
Ugh.
which is a winter and mannequin wombo combo.
Thank you.
The group, and the group preps to take the fight straight to Jack.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, baby, things are going down.
Let's see. Vista with a gun.
Yeah.
Still love it. 8 Siberians, though.
Oh yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Honestly, though, pretty cool way to try to take him down. They do this a bit in the end too with in Golem's interludes. We'll kind of come back to it, but just the clever ways they try to get Siberian to stop touching, whatever it is.
Yeah,
they're
because
protecting.
it can't. The thing I always think about is you can't use Manton can't be affected by his own ability. So it's always some
Right.
object, a van or a box in this case, that
Yeah.
Manton is inside that is rendered, immune. But all I can think of is, damn, Topsy would have fucked up a box of Mantons.
That's true.
Yeah.
just like spinning. I would just be snapping my fingers, spinning that box, just having them bonk heads on the inside.
Yeah.
Just put that thing on spin cycle for a little bit.
Yep. Oh, that's funny.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I do like the tactic of switching the wards and the Undersiders being like, no, we've got the wrong people in the wrong place. Like, switch them, and then it'll work, and it does, right? And that's one of those like cool tactical moments of
Yeah.
like I think it's Tecton who's able to help take out Manton and the Siberians, as opposed to the under.
Oh, that's right. It's Manton. It's not. I was getting confused. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, it's not. Tecton fights Manton, not Hatchet Face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, no.
Foil kills Hatchet Face.
Wait, Tecton fights Manton or Mannequin?
No, Manton.
Mannequin.
Doesn't he fights
Okay,
Mannequin? But
now I
doesn't
gotta
he
look
also
it up.
help? He's the one
Yeah.
who makes the hole
I'm gonna Google
for
it.
the box of
Yes.
Mantons.
Yep.
Some people weren't listening, and straight up smoked a kid.
Yep.
Oh, yep.
Oh, I forgot
Like,
about that.
Hey, Psychosoma's fucking around. Double check, and then somebody comes out and they're like, and I forget if they light him on fire or whatnot, and then it's one of the heroes, it's one of the young heroes, and they're like, oopsie daisy. I don't even think they named who it was, and they just moved on.
Whoops.
Sometimes you gotta.
Yeah, we're just gonna choose to not think about that too much.
Yeah.
It made me have a fun thought. How far do you think John Wick would make it in Worm?
I mean, we've talked about the sniper before, so
Yeah. Pretty far.
Yeah. I
If
need
the
a
passengers
movie.
Aren't aware.
Yeah. I need a movie about the Dragon's Teeth as well. Basically, any special forces versus supervillains.
Yeah.
Would be great.
I mean, what we're hearing is, Miss Militia, pull your weight.
get on that, lady.
No, that is an interesting idea, though. And it's almost like to me that would be like what The Boys was advertised as, not what it actually is, but kind of when it was the first season was coming out. They're like, it's just a bunch of regular guys who hunt superheroes, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool concept. It's not what the show ended up being, of course.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But that concept is interesting, right? Of like, okay, we're a squad of just regular dudes who take down the biggest, baddest supervillains that the regular heroes can't get for whatever reason, right?
Yeah. It is kind of the fun of The Boys comic is that while they do have powers that make them, a fight against in a straight up fight, they can take on a lot of the evil superheroes. For the most part, what they're doing is just bugging and rigging up superheroes like living spaces so that they can tap into their phone lines and get blackmail on them, and then use that blackmail to fuck over other heroes that they know, or it's all just a giant FBI operation. or just straight up like they have a sniper across the building, like, and they're like, oh, this guy's getting out of hand. Like he says he's not gonna respond to the blackmail. Like he won't stand for it, and then they just shoot him. And like, well, useless.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really would love to see a straight up, like you said, non-powered superhero or special forces team that has to take on supervillains. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Also, I found it. I wasn't crazy. It is Hatchet Face. Tecton used the opportunity to slam the upper ridge of his gauntlet into the Hatchet Face's mouth and extended the pile driver full force.
Woof.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Boom.
Nice.
Put the Tinker with the suit of armor against the power nullifier. See how that works.
Love it.
It's just like, your powers don't work on me. Don't you know
Yeah.
who I am?
Yeah.
I'm the Tecton, bitch.
Cauldron making a hell of an entrance here.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm so glad you
Wow.
reminded. Yeah. Oh,
Woo.
maybe one of the
Macaroni.
best.
That's what prompted
entrances.
the John Wick.
Yeah.
The John Wick thought here. Now that I think about it,
So
just
it is so good. That moment is so good. Just the two of them, because they hint at it earlier, right? Someone, I forget who it is. Someone says, maybe it's Tattletale, says over the speaker, Cauldron agreed to send two of their whatever,
elites.
yeah, two of their elites in, and like in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I wonder who it is. Out pops from the shadows. And then aren't they just firing into like fog, right? And
Yes,
just hitting
the
their
fog
targets?
clears and there's just bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good.
It's hot. It's hot.
Very hot.
I mean, I do love though they pop in, shoot a bunch of bad guys, refuse to explain anything, leave immediately.
Leave, yeah. They just dip, straight gone.
Hey, are you gonna explain yourself? And then Contessa turns, opens her mouth like she's gonna say something, and then just turns back around and leaves.
Yep.
Get fucked.
Yeah.
A little Deus Ex Machina, but I'll allow it.
Yeah. And immediately followed up by the Thonda making the return as they drop a goddamn building.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A whole ass building.
Jeez.
Like a pile driver. Like they looked at Tecton and went, that's JV shit.
Yeah.
Let me show you how a real like pile driver works. And then just summon the building, which I assume for those of you who have seen Gennady Tartakovsky's Clone Wars, the one where Mace Windu goes up against the giant Earth Shaker machine.
Oh,
That's basically what they did. Was just ba-boom.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, they're the ones who take out Siberian. I forgot about that. No, that is hilarious to me. And it just that idea of like, how powerful would it be just to drop a building out of space? Oh, pretty powerful. Cool. Like, nice. That was a good move.
Solid. Yeah.
Any other notes?
Taylor gives Lisa shit about about how she was wrong once. Are you sure? She's like, can you please just trust me? I was wrong once or twice. And Taylor's like, I will never forget. I will never forget.
Once again, Taylor, you're approaching that line, my friend.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Are we ready for chapter 6?
It's a 6.
Yeah.
Chapter 6. The group tracks the portal. Saint doesn't help. They enter the Nine's lair. And we have this big reveal about Grey Boy and how he stole Aster, and kind of we get an insight on his powers. Skitter attacks, kills Cherish, Screamer, and Aster, and some of the Nine escape.
Damn, she plugging everybody.
God, she just went for it, huh?
Just went in and started blasting. I will say, just as a compliment,
blast.
Basically, yeah. As a compliment to the audiobook, I don't know. The voice for Grey Boy is really good. It's that perfect, childish, annoying, but stupidly evil sounding voice, like schoolboy voice. I'll have to maybe find a couple of clips for it. I remember it especially in the arc where he kidnaps Aster. I think, or in the chapter where he does that a while back. But whoever does the voice for Grey Boy, it's like the perfect nasally, like, if you don't cooperate, I'm gonna just hurt you more. Don't you want to just work with me instead? And it's just that perfect voice. I don't know. It's amazing.
I think that is
Um,
this chapter because they're listening to Grey Boy over the sound speaker, like the video is
That's right.
playing
Yeah.
while they're
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
Mhm.
looking around. Yeah.
Which I think is some great writing. Like,
I really enjoy that.
it's a perfect example of how personally in a lot of writing, I don't think you need much more than dialogue sometimes. I think you can convey a lot of what is happening with like what is it when somebody reads into something? Not explicit, implicit. You can implicitly write a ton into the scene through dialogue, and the Grey Boy sequence is that.
Mm,
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
good. Very tense. Yeah.
oh. Because again, speaking of like characters that should be S-class threats, I think Grey Boy's pretty high up there.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Um,
Terrifying.
This
Truly.
power
Yeah.
is horrifying.
And the fact that it doesn't go away
Yeah.
when he does,
Yeah,
like, because correct me if I'm wrong, they kill him at the end of this arc,
they do.
Yeah.
and those bubbles stay there.
I think so, yeah.
That's the implication, I think. Well,
Ooh.
he even says he's like he can adjust them, but he can't turn them off. Which I mean, he could be
Ugh.
lying, but yeah.
I thought it was that he didn't want to turn them off.
Maybe
I
it's
didn't
that.
realize he could, or he couldn't.
He says he can't, but I think it's probably implied that he might be lying there. Either way, horrifying.
Yeah. I think what's so unsettling is like because as Taylor's walking around, she can hear the scream that's just like going on and on and on. And it's the same scream. It's just looped. So it's like there's no breath. There's no
Yeah.
like Beckford, stop. Sorry. Sorry, the cat's trying to eat all the cables. But there's no pause, there's no breath, there's no like if someone were actually screaming, they'd have to stop and breathe and then scream again. But it just doesn't end. It just keeps going and keeps looping. And it's got that just enough familiarity and lilting that you can kind of hear when the clip starts over. But it's like, it's all just one continual long scream. Like, oh, that's horrifying. Like, that's truly.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And you can't like put anyone out of their misery once they're trapped. Like it's just that's their existence. Talks about how he breaks their minds and then they rebuild themselves and then they break again. Like just
Yeah.
woo.
Yeah,
That's
it's some
hard.
heavy shit. It's understandable why they only ever made one.
Yeah.
Jack can
Even
only-
Jack.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's all I can handle. Yeah.
And as we showed later on, like there's a reason, because as soon as Jack seems like he's about to bitch out, Grey Boy's like, you know what? No, my last move, fuck you. I'm gonna put you in a loop.
Yeah.
And he attempts to,
Tries.
get him.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Can someone explain to me why? Like, I mean, I get why, but why did she shoot Aster? Because the whole idea is that, like, well, if she's dead, she can't be a pawn anymore. But that feels like too simple of an answer for the girl who stressed out for months about a psychic being fed candy in Coil's underground,
I kind of
Yeah.
read it as partly Taylor just covering her bases for potential catalysts for the end of the
Right.
world. Like she doesn't know. She knows there's a good chance Aster either dies or gets looped, which is horrifying.
Yeah.
Or she's the catalyst for this whole thing. So
Right.
better to take it off the table.
Yeah. Because the assumption is that she has powers or will have powers.
Yeah.
because she's a second generation child of two superheroes or two capes. But so there's that fear that if the 9 keep her, that she could be the catalyst,
And
which is why I think the
yeah.
9 have her in the first place, because Jack's like,
Right.
maybe she's the catalyst.
I didn't think that was it. I'm pretty sure they just have Aster because they wanted to torture Theo.
Well,
Because
definitely.
they talk about we're going to come back and basically like we're going to go over a bunch of people, but the people we're really going to fuck up are your family members, like the 2 people
That's true,
that they know we care about, which is Aster, the baby that he's watching when Jack first meets him, and his pseudo mom Purity, who also bumps into Jack there. Like, and they have the conversation about literally the 2 of them. And Jack's like, hey, I'm going to kill all of them. I'll kill you last, but I'm going to make something special for them. And rather, because this is a big argument online over the whole Aster thing and joking about Taylor being a child killer. But Taylor saw Purity, who, burned down a city to protect this child, attempt to kill this baby by throwing it out a window rather than let Gray Boy, an S-class monster, mind you, it's his, time loop on it.
Right.
Taylor saw that, and knowing how basically seeing that and how Gray Boy works, was like, clearly also the mother was okay with the child dying rather than letting the 9 do who knows what with it.
Gray Boy also does say something about that when she tries to throw Aster out the window, basically to like, whether you wanted to keep her from me or maybe like force her to trigger, like, because that is a potential possibility. Like, you throw her out the window, like maybe she develops flight as she's falling down 10 stories,
Yeah, I mean, and Aster's
true,
like what,
yeah.
4 at most.
She's like
now?
a toddler. I thought she was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
She's real baby, so I'm assuming between like 0 and 2 at the beginning of the story.
And it is, I had to find the passage again. It is part just trying to make sure in case she's the catalyst, which might play into whether or not Taylor shoots her. Because the PRT officer that's being tortured, when she's like divulging everything to Jack, says Aster is supposed to trigger young, usually 1 child and family. No Jack is coming. Chance she's catalyst. Yada yada. So
yeah.
Fair.
I'm team Taylor did nothing wrong, but
I don't know. That's tough. Again, it's that question of like we were talking about with Saint, turning off Dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably had some positive effects.
I mean, yeah.
Or it seemed like it did. I guess we don't really have the same data we do with Aster, but it is that question of like, maybe it was the right choice. And again, she doesn't know, but it's that idea of if I can stop the world from ending by killing 1 child, is that worth it?
That is the question.
I mean, also thinking you're in the right covers a multitude of sins. Like, if you feel like what you're doing is for the greater good, like, okay, well, if I shoot Aster, I could potentially be ending the catalyst to the end of the world. Same thing with Saint, like unplugging Dragon, like the idea, like if she's the catalyst, then like I'm doing the right thing by doing this, even if it's like morally gray or morally funky, whatever it is, like I'm doing the right thing. And if this is it, I will have saved the world. And like, that'll be on my conscience, but I'm okay with that. Like, well, if you think you're right, that covers it covers a multitude of sins because in your mind, you're justified in the choices that you've made.
Yeah. And it's one of those like,
absolutely.
If the world ends, then none of this mattered anyway. And
Right.
if they save, stop the end of the world, then who's to say that wasn't why, So
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah,
Got it out.
exactly. And like, I think with Saint, there is that like immediate, oh gosh, what's the word? Not comfort.
Gratification.
Yeah, well, the instant gratification, basically like hearing like, oh, well, our chances just got better. It's like, oh, well, okay, maybe I did do the right thing then. Like,
Yeah.
he's instantly not comforted.
Validated.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God, validated. Instantly, his choice, like they're completely validated because instantly we get this note from what's her face. So she's just
Dinah,
like, hey,
yeah.
I don't know what happened, but the numbers just got better, and I don't know what you guys did, but the numbers are saying we're looking better all of a sudden. So it's like for
Right.
saying that instant gratification, but like Taylor doesn't know here, and then she has to instantly face Theo, like coming into the room and basically be like, oh yeah, in the pile of bodies on the floor could be Aster's body. Like,
Right.
oof.
Tough
Yeah,
stuff.
sucks to be Theo.
Yeah, sucks to be Taylor. Like she had to make that decision, and she has to now live with that.
Yeah, but she cold-blooded.
She really is. More so than she used to be. It's kind of upsetting. It feels like before I agreed with a lot of the decisions that she made, like even if the rest of the crew didn't, like I agreed with a lot of the choices that Taylor made. And I don't agree with her choices anymore. Like I don't like the way she looks at the world. She seems like, maybe it's because of the time skip, but like she seems so removed. Like she almost like doesn't live here anymore. Like she almost like experiences the world through her bugs and not as a human anymore. And it feels weird because I don't feel like I know her anymore. Like we've gone through this whole book where I feel like I know Taylor and I can agree with the choices that she makes or like understand her choices, and like all of a sudden I don't anymore. Like I don't understand her thought process. I don't understand the choices that she's making, that even if they are made for the greater good, like I can't agree with them anymore. Like it just doesn't track anymore. And like I don't know who you are, Taylor. Like you've changed a lot. Like
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And I think that's part of the cool slow burn of the story is this idea of like,
yeah.
okay, she's doing questionable things, but ultimately they seem justified. Oh, that was a little bit more questionable, but I can see where she's coming from. I wouldn't do that. And then kind of getting to these moments where you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does Taylor does give off like I don't know what the right term is, but I think she's looking for a fight. I think she likes the thrill of the fight.
I mean, it's back to what Theo said about her being the mirror of Jack.
Yeah. Yeah.
She feeds off the chaos.
Yep.
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
She brings like, an RPG to a stick fight and is ready.
Yeah.
Is it time?
Damn.
Yeah.
You want to just do the two interludes together?
Yeah. So the next two interludes are Golem interludes, part 1 and part 2. So I'll just read them both. Part 1, Theo prepares as they follow Jack. Harbingers ambush them. Golem moves on, finds Jack and fights. Scion gets caught by Grey Boy. Jack tears apart Golem with Hook Wolf. And then in part 2, we get a flashback to a lot of the training between Taylor and Theo back at home base. Golem breaks free of Hook Wolf's attack. Reinforcements arrive. Grey Boy traps Jack, and then Foil kills him and Siberian.
Wow.
It's a lot, and I really like it.
It's so good.
It's so fucking good. I love these two interludes so much.
These are some of my favorite chapters in all of Worm. These two chapters.
Yeah. Yeah.
The tension, the build-up. I love Theo's perspective in all of it. One of the few times I've talked about how much I hate flashbacks. One of the few times where I enjoyed a quick flashback to start the part 2.
Yeah.
Was well placed, I think. Yeah, I mean everything about this. The fact that it took me this long to realize why Jack would have wanted to recruit Hook Wolf, like duh, infinite ammo for Jack. I didn't even consider that until this fight.
Yeah.
So good.
That little bit at the beginning of part 1 where Theo's like trying to decide what to do, like what to say if he can cry, like if
Oh, yeah.
that emotional
Ugh.
vulnerability can happen. And that little exchange with Bitch is just so good.
I love
Where she
Bitch.
just brings the dog over. Yeah. Oh, it's just so good. Like I feel like Bitch has grown so much from how she used to be, but like
Yeah.
she just brings the dog over. She sits it down because she's learned that like dogs are great therapy because they just are
They
there and you can kind of mindlessly pet them. Like it's that's such a good little moment. I think, the calm before the storm as like Theo is now prepped to go and fight. Like he just has this little moment with the dog as he like collects his thoughts. It's just
It's
It's
excellent.
good.
Well, where are we at that Bitch is offering comfort to people without prompting?
so proud.
I know.
So proud. She's grown so much.
Y'all grown up.
I know.
The dynamic between Theo and Dinah and
Ooh.
their like little surprise
Yes.
partnership and the
Yeah.
tension with Dinah being like, you've got 20 questions.
Yep.
That's all I can give you.
Yeah.
And the countdown. Oh my God.
Oh, so terrifying.
This was definitely one of those I need to keep reading. I need to keep reading. I need to see what happens. I
Yeah.
need to find out how the end of the world happens because I knew as soon as we did this, Theo's useless, so he's not stopping the end of the world. So what is the end of the world going to be?
Mm-hmm.
And man, like I really love the system that they come up with red,
the red
blue,
and the blue.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's great.
That's so smart.
Fight, run,
To try
team,
and-
solo.
Trick her power a little bit there, kind of cut a corner.
Yeah. And Theo's abilities have really gotten a lot better with his powers too. Like I'm just really impressed in this fight with his ability to think on his feet. And obviously we credit a lot of that to Taylor training him to do that, but I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Really.
I am still not impressed with Theo. Like I get that he's working with what he's got, but that power is so ass. Like
Wait,
I am relatively certain that anybody with a stick could beat Theo in a fight, regardless of powers. Because his stuff takes so long to manifest. And like it just like
Well,
his oh man, we'll get into this. Jack should not be that good of a fight. And we catch on that he has obviously his power, his extra power that they think he has,
Mm-hmm.
Helps out with that. But Jack is like dancing, like the way it's described makes Jack sound like he's freaking Sephiroth from Final Fantasy Advent Children. Like he is just levitating and dancing around everything that Theo is throwing at him. When in reality, he's like taking a step to the left because he's like, oh man, I almost got him that time with my hand coming out of the ground. Jack kind of hops back.
literally sidestep.
Oh, I almost got him that time. Like Jack should not be a fight. Like Jack might be in shape, but this is if you can block his sword stuff, you just run up and punch him,
Right.
It really shouldn't be that hard of a fight.
I mean, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And once again, I love Theo as this poor boy. I really like him. But that ability, my God, got handicapped, my boy.
I think
Got
I think
handicapped.
Look at
I
his
think-
family and what he got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at his
Yeah.
family and you're like, Kaiser, like terrible person, but my God, what a power. And then the new patch rolls out and you're like, damn, they nerfed that Kaiser.
Yeah.
I feel like he works really well when it's like we're on a battlefield and we need it's worked before with Endbringers. Like I feel like it was very helpful before. As a solo fight against Jack, it does not feel helpful at all. Like
No,
this
and
is
you get the vibe that's he's not a conflict person.
Yeah.
And it's so little of a conflict personality for him that his shard that we now know, which is driving people to conflict, can't even make him can't even drive him to that. Like,
Yeah, he definitely
that's how
got
conflict averse he is.
Yeah. He got one of the runt shards that wasn't supposed to leave the host body. It was like, hey, where are you going? Okay.
Yeah. No, I was thinking
engine
about
that good.
what is Theo good at? Because all of these things are combat oriented or conflict oriented for a reason, as we've established. But it's like, okay, but no, his really doesn't work well at all in conflict. So what is his for? And he realized oh, he'd be really good at getting cars off of people. Something that he can get a little bit of time to do. Disaster recovery, he'd be great at that.
Yeah.
Anything that requires speed, not so great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fair enough.
But he pulls a Taylor and outsmarts his opponent with the whole realizing that they just need some normal ass dude.
Someone with some containment foam.
Yep.
Coil sniper,
Honestly,
baby.
we need to get that containment foam out there more often.
We really don't use it that often. Like, it feels like we could use it a lot more.
Yeah, right. It's pretty strong stuff.
I'm surprised they don't have little containment grenades that they can chuck out.
I was thinking the same thing.
Gets your feet.
Like, we need one that when the shell cracks, it expands. Like the glaciers.
Great stuff.
Like the ice in the apartment.
Some great stuff.
Yeah, the ice in the apartment. Like it busts open. It just.
I don't know if you've ever seen great stuff explode. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. No, it would work. It would work good.
It's just the Incredibles scene once again.
It is. Thank you. They did it first. Anyone else scream along with Parian when you thought Foyle was?
Oh my god, I was so upset.
Was got.
Oh, I was so upset.
I didn't remember that happening, but I was pretty sure. I was like, nah. They playing.
I was completely convinced. I was so upset. I was like, well, we had to lose someone important. And Aster isn't that important. So fuck. I guess this is it.
Babies aren't important to Hannah. No.
Wow. Not what I said.
But also
light of child murder.
Foyle being a badass though.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Faking everybody out.
Okay, can someone explain the gag to me? Because I was so confused. I couldn't figure out how they did it.
They set this up. Well, Wildbow set this up in Foyle, then Flechette's interlude. And I don't know if he had planned this from that point in writing, but he mentions in that interlude, I'm almost positive, I have to go back and reread it, but that she has essentially perfect timing, perfect spatial awareness of where she is.
Oh, yeah.
And so we get to this point, and she obviously, it would have been cool to see maybe a little side interlude from her perspective here, but doesn't get hit by the bubble, is able to see where it's going to hit and hide behind it.
Sidestep or whatever.
And then perfectly just loop her actions so that they think they caught her.
I was going to say, it's, at least from what I remember, it's specifically, she's standing behind the bubble.
Yeah.
So, perspective wise, and she's repeating the scream.
Yeah. Yep.
And then they talk about how there's a little at the very end of the scream, there's a little change, which is indicative of, I forget how they explain it.
I mean, it's indicative of the loop. If you've ever watched a looped video on Reels or TikTok or whatever, it's nothing is quite perfect. There's always a little bit of a glitch at the end where it loops back on itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think they talk about that, because the brain is staying intact. It's the one point right before it loops that you can like react or realize you're in a loop or something like that. So while it is the same scream, like that's your one time where you kind of like realize you're stuck in the loop and it
Right.
starts over again. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not perfectly clear. Yeah, up until the moment Foyle, still screaming, used her augmented sense of timing to measure the length of each scream, stepped around the monochrome field he'd cast just in front of her. Yeah, not a whole lot of detail.
Yeah, there's a section before where I believe he's listening to her scream and he talks about it. But if anybody wants to look at that, they
Yeah.
can read it themselves.
Yeah.
It's a great passage. I'll reread it myself.
What a great package.
Great.
Shall we final interlude?
Last thing I'll say is to lead into the interlude. I do also love how it feels like a victory, but reading it, you know it's not. You know it's not.
Never is. Nothing ever is, because we can never fucking win in this goddamn book.
Even reading it again, knowing what's going to happen, I still had the like, I don't know what the delusion of like, okay, but like what could
delusion of
he
hope?
possibly say or do that would set this off?
Yep.
How wrong we were.
All right, last interlude.
All right. We have the history of the entities. Scion and Eve. The birth of their species, their arrival, the bonding of the shards, and Eve's death. Scion wanders, then sees Jack. Jack talks to him, and Scion listens. And then he destroys the UK.
Bye-bye, Brits.
It's you know,
sorry.
it's tough, but
I mean, but what did we really do?
It's like, ooh, man, rough. The whole UK, ooh, you know. But okay, all right.
What?
You know what? I get it.
Josh.
It's just the UK.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What culture was lost there?
Yeah.
Shut your mouth right fucking now.
What
Thank
titan
you.
of, food or any sort of
Wrexham
industry at
is
all?
gone. Thank you very much.
You know.
Yeah. Oh no, no more beans on toast.
Oh, no more bangers and mash.
Oh my god, you guys.
Oh, you governor, you want some fish and chips, bruv? Or
This is
the
how we
Queen of London,
ostracize
England.
an entire portion of
Yeah.
our community.
We have so few fans.
we only have like 6 of them. Like, we have to keep all of them. We cannot afford to lose any because Alan.
It's the UK. What are they gonna do?
What
else are they gonna listen to?
Yeah,
the BBC.
I was gonna say I've seen what they call media.
Oh, we're so mean.
Oh my god.
What's it like never seeing the sun?
Oh, they saw a golden morning. All right.
That was the first and only time.
Oh, look, the sun.
Is that what? Oh, is that what his son looks like?
that was rough. Oh man, Icky, tell it's late.
We gotta keep going.
It's
We
late.
gotta move on, please.
UK didn't move on.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I'll.
No,
here, I'll-
it did move on, Alan. It moved on to a better place.
No,
Yeah, you're
okay.
right.
Okay, I'll go. As someone who had some major wormmentia, whatever we were calling it, wormnesia. Thank you.
They both work.
Anyways, the point is, I was completely and utterly. I knew something was wrong. I knew stuff was bad. The second Scion showed up, I was like, oh no, we're fucked. And he puts him in the bubble, and I'm like, I still I don't feel like he's actually contained. The fact that he's here is just so bad. And then we have this chapter, and I just it felt like with every new sentence, and I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys probably noticed this. Throughout this chapter, all the names of the different arcs are said.
Yes, I did notice that.
Yeah.
It was very
Yes,
cool.
and it feels like a countdown. It feels like a different type of countdown from like Dinah was counting down in terms of how many questions we had, and then this chapter had this kind of like counting up to the present of all the different arcs, and it was so like dread. Just my stomach was like tied up in knots the entire time, and then when finally we get the reveal that the entities, and that Husayon is like, it hit, and I was like, oh no, this is so bad, like, oh, we're so fucked, like, this is like, we were freaked out a little bit earlier with Eidolon, like, this is the worst possible option, like, Eidolon would have been bad, we're doomed, there's no coming back from this is the end. This is it. This is the end of everything. Like, ugh.
I love how the interlude essentially sets up that dread. Because like up until this point, we know Sion's super strong. He can go toe to toe with the Endbringers. But there's still like up until now, you're still like, I mean, well, if everybody gets together, they can probably fight him, But then you get into this whole chapter, and it's like, oh God, no. They've been fighting across dimensions since the beginning of time as like a pastime. It's just a wildly different scale.
It had this feeling of like we've been, not that we've been fighting a losing battle, but like the battle was already lost. There was no hope. Like there was never any hope. We've just been deluding ourselves this entire fucking time. Silly me to think that we could ever win, that we could ever have good things. There are no more good things. All the good things are gone. They're all gone.
Yeah. I gotta say, for such an abstract creature, the Wildbow's a genius. We love him. And Nick, I know you. No. There's no but here. This is a.
Okay.
This is
all right.
I know.
It
Nick
sounded like you were about to launch into a butt.
No, they're quite the opposite. Nick has said this is a difficult chapter to get through. I loved this chapter.
Yeah.
I loved getting to sort of try to understand the entities as best as a human can.
Right.
And like it really felt like Wildbow was and succeeding in trying to write this as alien as possible while still making it legible. And I think it does a great job. I think it really comes across that there's like just this level of knowledge that we can't achieve. It reminded me a lot of, I don't know if you guys have seen Arrival with Amy Adams.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So good.
Trying to comprehend a language that speaks time essentially, which just doesn't make sense to us. And that movie does a great job. Same kind of thing of like trying to convey such an alien concept. And it works. Like I think we get as good an idea and understanding of what these things are that we could get.
Yeah.
It's a fun chapter.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange one. So I think what I would like to do, if possible, is try to summarize what actually happened, because I think for me, part of what's tough about it is it's just kind of hard to track. And I was listening to the audiobook and I had to like sit down and read it, and even then it still feels like I'm like, okay, I get that they're interdimensional aliens. I get that they were partners, like the warrior and the messenger. And I get that they're the source of all the powers. But I don't get why. Like, what's the end goal, right? And I think part of it is just their survival cycle. Like they survive through gathering information, and they do that by sharing the shards. Something like that.
I don't think it's just a survival thing. I think it is their like
expansion of the species.
It's their evolution, like their version of the evolutionary cycle is to now kind of parasitically get it off of other creatures. Because
Yeah.
ultimately it's about conflict. Like, and now that they're at somewhat of a peaceful, like, time in their race, the way they communicate is still through conflict, like the whole rubbing up against each other and exchanging shards and stuff like that. Like literally the friction, and crashing into each other is how they communicate. But they're doing that with other like whole species, on planets and stuff as well.
Right.
But then,
Yeah.
freaking Warriors Bay had to go start texting another shoddy, and just
Well,
wasn't paying
she
attention.
started yeeting her shards into Earth Bet, basically, right? And Warrior's like, you're kind of spreading yourself a bit thin there, aren't you? And she's like, no, I'm fine. Don't worry about
No,
it.
we're cool,
And then she
dude.
dies.
I like, because there's this one moment where Warrior and Thinker, I guess, are probably approaching Earth. I'd have to reread it again, and they get intercepted by another entity
Yes.
that passes through Thinker, and it reads to me like a little cheating scandal. And
It really does.
yep. And that's what causes Thinker to get distracted and crash land, essentially.
Yeah. The big thing here is that it when it exchanges with Eden or the Thinker, it is doing like a more conflict averse way of moving on, and so that's what it kind of takes to Earth. Whereas Warrior is still very conflict heavy, so that when they arrive on Earth, Eden kind of has this weird change of heart. I don't know what to call it otherwise.
Well, because they're supposed to
from their-
balance each other out, right? Is the idea,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, but they also still have the same like plan. Like they're doing
Right.
like agreements back and forth.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All the agreement. Yeah. Cool chapter. Really cool.
Oh yeah, I love this chapter. I love the idea that they grew on their world, and they were, when they started doing the whole like everybody consuming everybody else, they got to this point where they were so large they were spilling into other dimensions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I love the concept of the Endbringers. I think they're not the Endbringers, the entities. I think that just it's a really, really cool, and we've essentially gotten the origin story finally for the entire story of Worm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like all the powers and
it's such a good, like, wild catch-all system for so many things.
Yeah.
It's a crazy good origin for superpowers. Yeah. I think it's really unique. I think it's really good. We've had, lots of stories where aliens are the origin of powers, one way or another. But this is just doing it right, doing it really well.
Yeah. Feels good. We do have to point out the worm in the room because we do get a title drop at multiple points in this arc. But specifically because at the end of the arc, when it kind of leaves that perspective and we get Aiden's trigger and Tattletale's having the conversation and has to describe what he sees.
yeah.
Those are some kind of like fish or worms or whales.
And that
Whales.
in dissecting Worm is when we finally do the first title drop.
That's the very first title drop. 5 seasons later.
They said it couldn't be done. They said we were fools for doing the title 5 seasons in.
Yep. But all that to say, in all seriousness, because this kind of builds off what you said earlier, Hannah, about how Wildbow dropped all of the chapter titles into this interlude.
Mhm.
who knows? I don't know how brilliant Wildbow is. I think he's pretty smart. I don't know what he planned in advance, but I like to think it was building to this point in this interlude of Worm, the title, being a reference to the entities from the beginning.
I feel like it has to be, right? Like it has to be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, okay, either Wildbow is a genius for planning this so far in advance, or he's a genius for fitting it all together anyways.
Right.
You know? Like those are our options.
So without looking it up, what I remember is that early on in the writing, he came up with this idea of Scion. Scion, from what I remember, was his like first character.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Scion appears very early on.
He does, but Scion, like specifically Gold Morning, and the events of that was his first concept for the story.
So he's like been building up to this whole fucking time.
And he wrote. Well, he didn't write the story, but he plotted the story backwards.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Like we have this end of the world situation here. We just have to figure out how to get to that.
Yeah.
You know, and in this case, it's Jack doing something. But to be fair, it could have been anything else. Just anything to finally set Scion on a path where he goes and blows up the UK. Like, that is what you just need to get to. And you're working your way there slowly but surely.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you're picking characters to, you know, move along the timeline. In this case, it happens to be Skitter. It literally could have been anybody. Because this was going to happen one way or another, because this is the origin point for the story of Worm.
Inevitable, regardless.
Yeah.
Oh, biscuits.
And this is where the fun begins.
Oh, I have just an overwhelming sense of dread. I'm very excited, but overwhelming sense of dread.
And so the idea is kind of like, because these beings are interdimensional, they've brought knowledge of how physics and metaphysics and everything works, and that's where powers come from, basically.
Okay,
it is.
We'll do a quick, because you asked for it a little bit before.
Yeah.
Sorry, we kind of passed by it. So, if you can imagine, there is a world with a bunch of worms all wriggling on it, and through all the different, you know, them just trying to survive, they slowly evolve powers, and then they start eating each other, and those develop the, you know, shards on themselves. They're like crystallized worm things, and these shards that make them up encapsulate those powers. So as they rub up against each other and eat each other, they exchange or consume and gain those like those different evolutionary traits.
Okay.
Eventually they get gravity manipulation, and they realize, like, hey, our world is, you know, too many of us. We're so packed together. You know, we've eaten so many of each other to become these giant entities. We need to leave and spread out. And they start doing it in pairs. It goes from this conflict world to sort of like they've evolved to do teamwork, and they go out.
Yeah.
And the way that they continue to evolve as individual beings is, as they're moving in pairs, they can they go to a world, they shoot the shard abilities, which are both part of them and also separate. They shed those shards into the world, into the creatures there, and the parts of themselves grant those creatures powers and influence them to be a little bit more conflict, because they notice that, you know, if they have powers, then power, you know, sort of power corrupts and causes conflict.
Right.
So,
Okay.
And in observing those creatures engaging in conflict while holding on to their powers, they gain new powers. The powers evolve within and with the creatures. And then at some point, they just withdraw all those powers back with the new information, and now they have it. So they've done this for, you know, millions of years or whatever. They've essentially been co-opting and hijacking other creatures' evolutionary cycles with their own as well. Eventually, they head to Earth, and here, for some reason, Eden, the thinker, has... Eden.
Eve.
Sure.
Sorry, the thing I read said it was Eve. I'll look it up. You keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah. So for some reason, she has assumedly died, but as and this is what makes Scion kind of depressed and mopey this whole time. And
Right.
what has thrown this cycle off quite a bit. He notices, however, that there is a living shard from his partner in Contessa.
Oh, interesting.
Contessa.
Yeah, that's right.
Contessa, he notices, has a living shard.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was
I knew
Contessa.
she was hottest for a reason.
Also, Alan, you're right. It is Eden, not Eve.
Thank you.
That is.
I thought the
yeah.
shard was in a Jack for some reason. Maybe I missed.
No, Jack is whatever the broadcast shard, and I do believe that is what I'm saying is all the ones we've seen so far are all of Scion's powers, and the only one that we have seen that is not Scion's power is Contessa. Contessa is not only from Eden, one of Eden's shards, but it's living, which means that she got it when Eden was alive.
Oh, interesting.
So that means that there might be, like, Eden might be able to be revived based off of a single shard.
I don't think so, because they can exchange shards and they become part of other, the other entity that they exchange with. It is part of Eden, but we don't necessarily know that that Eden is alive because of that. We just know that Eden was alive when it was given to her.
Right. It's kind of like testing different like superpowers on rats and then, perfecting them and then taking that information and removing it from all the rats and leaving.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what they do.
Yep. This is a very simple and succinct way to explain it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Where does it mention? Is it in this chapter that it's Contessa's?
He sees, if it's the last one, he sees the people basically in the portal, which is Cauldron doing its shtick, and he spots the female of the group because it's obviously Number Man and Contessa, and he goes, that is an Eden shard, and it is a live Eden shard.
Oh, okay.
And all of a sudden, Scion has questions.
Yeah.
He's been convinced that maybe he should get in on that conflict action.
Yeah.
Why let the experiments
Jack have all the fun?
Well, why let the rats have all the fun when you could step on the rats?
Exactly.
You could win the rat experiment. Do you know how easy it is to do those mazes?
Exactly.
I could get the cheese every time. I am the cheese lord.
I think all of our brains are shutting down.
It is.
Yes.
It's been late. Yes.
Got rat
I think it's
and worm brain.
Yeah.
You got worm brain.
I do love though how, like, for being an interdimensional entity, Scion's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I feel like, in a sense, because all Jack basically says is like, "You've tried being nice. Why not be angry?" And Scion's like, "You know what, Jack?
Sure.
I do want to be angry." And then he blows up the UK, and he's like, "Huh? That was nice.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah. We've all been there.
What about David?
1776. Never forget.
He's the best.
What about who?
David Beckham.
David Beckham? Nah, he's
Everyone
gone.
You know,
loves David
Beckham?
Nah, he
I
gone.
barely know him.
Nah, he gone.
No, my boy. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
You know, I mean, I'm sorry. What record does he currently hold that hasn't been completely blown out of the water by
That's
anybody
not-
else?
He's just awesome. Okay.
I mean, I haven't watched the documentary, Michael, so I'm just gonna say that his best performance was in Bend It Like Beckham.
It's true.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on quickly. We'll be here too long.
All right, let's close it out.
We got to wrap this
All right.
one up.
Holy shit.
Favorite powers?
God.
Oh my lord.
There were a lot.
Nice guy.
Nice guy was pretty cool.
Nice guy's really good.
What's
I
the
mean,
one?
I want to say Gollum just to fuck with Alan.
As you should. As is your right.
Why are you the way you are?
What's the voice one? Screamer?
Yeah, Screamer.
Screamer. Yeah,
Yeah,
Screamer.
that was pretty cool.
Just ASMR powers.
That's a lot, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of cool powers. I mean, Nyx is like fog constructions, whatever they are.
Yeah, the fog illusions.
Yeah, illusions.
Yeah,
thank
that
you.
when they pop.
Crucibles.
Yeah.
Crucible.
Yeah, Crucible.
Crucible's Crucible.
Yeah.
For lack of a
Jesus.
better way to say it. No, a lot of cool powers. We didn't even really talk about Harbinger, who's Number Man, so I guess we've met him before.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
group of
The group of
Harbingers
Harbingers was terrifying. Yeah.
was crazy. I loved that.
I love
mean,
that
I
one of
think-
their abilities is to figure out basically
Oh
goat
my
feet
God.
so that they can just run up sheer face, like the faces of buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Am I stupid? I'm stupid.
Why are you
What?
stupid?
Why are you?
You just said the Harbinger is the number man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Did you not know that?
no.
Oops.
No.
Oops.
I in fact have the dumbs.
It's fine. He
Wow.
only spells it out clearly in his interlude.
You know what? Look. Hey.
The Wormnesia is strong with
The
this one. She's
Wormnesia is
forgetting
strong.
parts of
Y'all,
the book that she already read this time
I
round.
forget sometimes if I had lunch the same day that I'm thinking about. Like
That's fair. That's fair.
I have
I've
long-term
gotten out of the
memory.
shower before and been like, do I need to take a shower?
That's just the life
Me.
equivalent of like, did I save my Pokemon game?
Yeah.
You know what? I better save
Yeah.
it a second time.
Yeah.
Also, there's so many names. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And people are constantly changing their names. Like, we were talking about
true.
Foil and Flechette, and I was like, fuck, that's right. She did change her name. Like, fuck.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Gray Boy.
Grey Boy was
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
pretty
I was going to
creepy.
say Grey Boy's powers are pretty,
Great power, terrifying. But yeah.
pretty amazing.
It's a great defensive power. You just reset to,
Yep.
the moment he triggered, basically. And
I
then
don't like-
also
Sorry, continue. I'll tell you.
great offensive power because holy cow, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of a power that you can't then like change your mind on. Like, okay, if Taylor wants to attack with her bugs, she can then be like, no, actually just kidding, and the bugs will back off. Like with Grey
Right.
Boy, if he legitimately like puts somebody in a loop and he changes his mind, if he cannot, because I don't know if we ever said yes or no one way or the other, but like if he can't pull people back out of the loop again, like they're just stuck in the loop. And there's like a weird sense of lack of control that I don't like about that.
It's true.
To me, it's like that's like the part of the childlikeness of him. He's just actual pure chaos, and that's
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
more
yeah.
terrifying.
That's true.
It doesn't mean it makes it a worse power, that's for sure, but
It does.
it makes it a
yeah.
better character.
Oh, I did have one note about the entities. I forgot. I was trying to envision like what it would have looked like for them to speak to each other, and the only thing I could keep coming back to is the opening for "It's a Wonderful Life" where the angels and God are talking, and it's just the stars.
Stars just blinking
just
at each
lighting,
other.
bloop, bloop, doot, doot, like lighting up.
Yeah. Affirmative.
Yeah, affirmative.
Agreement.
Yeah.
I liked the idea of whales, like the singing, like whales singing at each other and like bouncing sounds and reverberations back and forth between each other.
Space songs.
I think it's time to go to bed.
I'm so fucking tired.
We're making
I'm so
whale
tired.
sounds at midnight.
That's when you know.
You know, honestly, for the second longest arc, I think we got out pretty well.
I was gonna say, I think
Not
we did.
bad. Not bad.
Well done, everybody, and well done to all of our listeners.
Yay! We've made it through arc 26.
Ooh,
Yes.
we're in the end.
We're in the end zone.
game now.
End game now.
We apologize in advance for whatever part of this very long arc we missed. That was probably your favorite, of
I know. I'm
course.
sure it
of
We're
was.
so
course.
sorry.
And please let us know what it was, and we will try to respond to your comments. But
We'll do our best.
I probably loved it too. We just, there's a lot. We are sorry
There's a lot
already.
Big arc.
And if you don't want to type out a comment, that's fine. You can leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the podcast because we love
serious?
to hear your little sweet voices. Sweet voices whispering in our ears.
Heck yeah.
I don't remember what the
Amen.
number is, but
I was also trying to think of the number.
980-999-0438.
There it is.
Ooh.
That's it. Call us, leave us a voicemail. It's not a live number, so you don't have to worry about like talking to a real person.
Yeah, it'll go straight
No one
to
will pick
voicemail.
up.
Nope.
Yep.
We will not answer.
We will not answer, but we will listen to your voicemail. We've had a couple before, and it's always lovely to hear you guys. So,
Yes.
And consider becoming a patron and joining our Discord and leaving us comments there if you
We
want
do have
a
a lot of
more
fun.
direct touch and response. We do
That's true.
respond to those.
We chat, we send memes, we talk about a lot of stuff. And I will say, I really there's like a cute little community thing happening where it's like we share stuff about our day and like what's going on. And it's so nice. I love our little patrons.
Oh, yeah.
They're so sweet.
Worm fans only. Come on in.
Good. Good time.
Get in here.
All right, Michael. I think I speak for everyone when I say, play us out.
Thank you so much for listening. Read along with us at parahumans.wordpress.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you love? What did you hate? Anything you think we missed, etc., as long as it's kind. If you'd like to get in touch, you can find us on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit at Brockton Bay BC, or click the link in the description.